Well, let's talk about that. The latest news even just came out today. So there's, the bird flu's been circulating. The last big scare I think that they tried to get us with the media was that it's in the milk, right? They were saying
Right.
this a couple of weeks ago. The bird flu's in the milk. They found it in the milk, and then they said, well, but if you're drinking pasteurized milk, it's okay. It's not going to get you. But then today they're saying, oh no, bird flu jumps from cow to human in the U.S. Experts confirmed the first case here in the United States. That's just today from Science Alert.
Oh my
PBS
goodness.
comes out today with why scientists are concerned about the latest transmission of bird flu to cows. So and then there's this New York Times as bird flu looms. The lessons of past pandemics take on new urgency. That's from the New York Times today. So what what I'm hoping people just I mean, it's kind of one of those things. I don't want people
Right.
to totally ignore if
Right.
there's viruses that are circulating around or illnesses that are circulating around. We should be aware so that we can take whatever precautions we want, right? But it's a fine
Absolutely.
line between that and fear-mongering to get us to comply to some crazy measure or get us back into pandemic mindset.
Well, when you look at what's actually going on from the transmission standpoint, from going becoming zoonotic, going from bird to cattle, from cattle, then the one case that they've identified in Texas uh, in humans, that to me, that is not that's really nothing to write home about. That is not the scary part to me. That's the sort of natural progression or natural transmission of H5N1 flu is not really scary at all. Now, what the labs that are doing gain of function research in the United States, that to me is really scary, because it seems like Wuhan Institute of Virology all over again. And Kim, what I did, I I actually, and I do not recommend this, like 100%. This is what you do not do. I opened up Chat GPT and I said, what laboratories in the world are doing gain of function research on H5N1 flu? And so, I knew better. It spit out all these answers, and it's like, well, verify, confirm. One of the entities that's doing bird flu gain of function research in the United States is our own CDC. Our CDC, the influenza division, which in the molecular biology team is doing gain of function research, what they do is they passage H5N1 influenza. It's the same clade, which is sort of the strain of flu that's circulating through cattle. They have passaged that through ferrets. Then they take it from ferrets and then they infect human lung cells in order to get it to be infective in humans. And the ultimate goal of this research is human to human transmission, which does put us into another pandemic.
Why do they do this? What is it from a scientific perspective? You're just a scientist working in this lab, you're working on this
Right.
research. You're not a sinister person, I would think, right? Or are you?
Well, I would hope not. I would hope that they would not have sinister aims in doing this. But for the past 70 years, the bioweapons program has really been disguised as sort of this vaccination program. And so the party line that you hear all the time is, well, we have to develop these pathogens because then we can develop the countermeasures, the bioprotection, the vaccines, the monoclonal antibodies, the therapeutics. So if we have this, horrible pathogen, horrible agent, SARS-CoV-2, H5N1, whatever, then we can make a vaccine from it, based on the different proteins that decorate the virus or whatever, and we'll know, and we can stay ahead of the game. But that's absolutely preposterous, and it's what they've been doing. Like at the U.S. Army at Fort Detrick, another entity called which is the Biomedicine Advanced Research Projects Authority, which is a part of the Department of Health and Human Services. University of Wisconsin is doing gain of function research. They've been doing this research for so many different years, and one of their main targets has been H5N1 or a strain of bird flu.
How long have they been doing this sort of gain of function research, would you say?
This gain of function research,
Not for this virus in particular, but just with this mentality of we got to get ahead of it. And if we have, if we have the virus in the lab that can infect the humans and we can create the vaccine, how long do you think they've been doing that?
you look at the research that is being done at Fort Detrick, Maryland, which is the acronym is US AMRID. I can never remember that acronym, but it's really very, very thick in biodefense. I would say that this type of research has been going on for at least 50 years.
50 years they've been doing
Yes.
this.
They've been doing this type of research, and now with the genetic revolution, with molecular biology, with techniques like CRISPR, with being able to do mutation of these viruses directly, then it really, really speeds up the process. And what will happen? And even the former director of the CDC, Robert Redfield, actually predicted this and said there will be a bird flu pandemic in the next 5 years, and it will be a lab leak.
Because they're still doing this gain of function research. We've done a lot of focus on EcoHealth Alliance. That's been the
Right,
big discussion since
right.
COVID, and Peter Daszak from EcoHealth, and the fact that they were working at the Wuhan lab. I believe they were at the Wuhan lab. Is that where they were?
They
And they were
were
doing
working. They were
yeah,
working with the Wuhan lab
yeah.
directly,
Are
and
they just a fall guy? I mean, what you're saying is there's a bunch, and there's a lot of people are doing this. It's not just EcoHealth Alliance.
Well, Eco Health Alliance was doing this when you weren't supposed to be doing this. There was a moratorium on gain of function research. I believe it was lifted in 2017, and so Eco Health Alliance really got caught with their fingers in the cookie jar, and now they're being essentially defunded. Through the Department of Health and Human Services, but there's so many labs that are doing this research. It's at the University of Georgia, it's the USDA, it's at our own Centers for Disease Control that is supposed to be protecting against these things. These things is making agents of essentially biological destruction. And to me, that is really the scary part, and that's the thing that I really wanted to expose, and really hope that the powers that be, the congressional oversight that is looking into these issues, when they start to talk about bird flu, just it's one Google search away. It really is one Google search away to see what's being done, and the individuals that have just myriad patents associated with bird flu vaccines, associated with bird flu pathogens. There's a researcher at the University of Wisconsin who has been collaborating with the Japanese government for many, many years. His name is Yoshihiro Kawaoka, and he has 78 patents on his portfolio, and the lion's share, much of it, is on bird flu vaccination. Okay. And so, you look at it, and one of the chief sort of prophets of doom who has been hitting Twitter really, really hard, his name is Dr. Rick Bright. He used to be the head of BARDA. He also has an extensive patent portfolio on, you guessed it, bird flu vaccines, bird flu proteins. And so these prophets of doom hit the airwaves, and they scare everybody. We're actually stockpiling bird flu vaccine in the national stockpile right now. They say that there's enough bird flu vaccine right now that they can vaccinate about 20% of the US population if they wanted to. And so, things are being set in motion that, to me, I really, really want to get out in front of this and expose what's going on.
I think the scariest thing that what I'm hearing and kind of
Yes.
putting together in my brain is that, during the COVID pandemic, we created a vaccine industrial complex with Warp Speed, Operation Warp Speed. I mean, the
Right.
government was and giving them immunity from any sort of repercussions, handing them a bunch of money to make vaccines, making it a
Right.
multi-mega billion-dollar industry. And that's always the caution whenever you make any sort of industrial complex, is that now you've got a lot of people making a lot of money, and they don't wanna suddenly stop. They don't wanna just stop making money. They were making all this money. They were having, it was like complete raining cash on them. They don't want that to stop. They want the party to continue. So they come up with more fear-mongering tactics. It's just like what we've seen with the what Eisenhower warned us about with the military industrial complexes. Look, well, now
Right.
we've made this machine, and now there's gonna be people out there that just want war because they're making so much money off of it, right? And we ended up with that, and
Right.
that's where we so the fear is that there's so much to be made now, and you've got an entire company, what, Moderna, that the only product they've ever had was the COVID-19 vaccine. That's it. They've
Correct.
never done anything else. That's the only
Correct.
thing they've ever done. So, of course, they need to come up with something else because nobody wants to, people, the uptake on COVID vaccines is extremely low at this point. I think the
Oh,
CDC
absolutely.
put out the beginning of the month that only like 15% of Americans are getting the updated shot.
Exactly, and Moderna made, in the first 18 months after the release of the vaccine, they made $32 billion. That type of money is addictive.
Yeah.
And so, Moderna is going after different vaccination targets that are vaccines on the schedule, but they also are just sort of, wringing their hands in terms of what is going to be the next big value proposition. And, unfortunately, this really plays right into it. Now, there are already three bird flu, get this, there are already three bird flu vaccines that have been approved by the FDA. And so, it's not really a thing yet, but yet there is an H5N1 vaccine.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson show, which you could catch just by heading to that link down below, KimIversonShow.com. You can watch the full show from what you just watched, or you could catch the full show live Monday through Friday, live streams, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you then. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Never miss an episode. Never miss a clip. Never miss a segment. Thanks, guys.